Hello and welcome to Paint It Red, our daily digest of all the arts and entertainment news and views. I'm Joanna Kay. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, the West Country Cowboys, who hope to sell out at the Royal Albert Hall.
I mean, it has to be said, for a large venue, it's extremely cosy.
The Brit Rockers, who make an almighty row.
There's no limits, no boundaries. It's like, there's no... anything goes.
Pandemonium at the ICA.
None of it is particularly enticing for me. It's just the ideas that I deal with. I just try and find the appropriate means to do that.
Making a drama out of a crisis, the reign of Charles II is the subject of restoration.
In fact, I've decided that you should be the one to marry her, Merivale.
Marry, Your Majesty.
Marry Merivale. The phrase is very pretty to my ear.
And big smiles all round us. Hollyoaks heartthrob Jeremy Edwards joins me in the studio. First, though, the Royal Albert Hall is one of the most famous stages in the world, but the closest most of us come to it is either a rather studenty visit to the Proms or a 30-something visit to an Eric Clapton gig. It's different, though, for two unknown Bristol-based country pickers, because they're booked in for the concert of their lives at London's most prestigious venue. Norma Dove-Edwin bought the ticket.
Meet Phil Beer and Steve Knightley, collectively known as Show of Hands, an acoustic duo from the West Country. These two unknown musicians are warming up for the concert of their lives at the Royal Albert Hall, a far cry from their regular venue, this intimate little pub, the Albert Inn in Bristol.
Your mum's going to be there.
Yeah.
And mine's going to be about there.
Yeah.
The duo wanted to celebrate their 5th anniversary in style, and Kensington's own Village Hall was just the ticket.
So we needed somewhere fairly large to celebrate, where there was quite a reasonable possibility of lots of people coming. And you tend to think, well, what are the three most famous venues on the planet? And one, of course, is Sydney Opera House, one is Carnegie Hall, and the other one, of course, is the Albert Hall.
For the privilege of gracing the same hall which has played host to some of the world's greatest musicians, the duo have had to stump up quite a lot of cash.
The whole event itself will cost £24,000, and the hiring of the hall is £12,000, and they wanted that money in advance. That frightened us a bit, but we luckily found a couple of sponsors. In late 1994, we phoned up the Royal Albert Hall and just said, we'd like to book a date. When is there one free? And they said, oh, about a year's time.
In their time, Phil and Steve have sold 14,000 copies of their live album and have built up a solid fan base who regularly pay £6 to see them go through their paces at the Albert Inn. But despite doubling their ticket price and a 200-mile journey from Bristol, their hardcore fans have not been deterred.
It's a bit of a novelty, but I mean, it's something that they wanted to do. I think they're class musicians. They deserve to play on a bigger stage than they do here.
The people who are travelling up for the night are treating it as a bit of a party. There are coach trips coming up, and a lot of people are actually coming for the weekend, and they're definitely going to have a bit of a shindig. It's a bit like the country comes to town.
Show of Hands was squeezed between two very established acts until one band pulled out at the last minute.
Well, originally our Sunday night was going to be sandwiched between two nights of Bruce Springsteen and Donna Summer. Now, Bruce has pulled out, unfortunately. Perhaps he heard that he was going to have some competition on the Sunday. I don't quite know.
I don't think so.
And he's been rescheduled for later in the spring. So we could have actually hired the Friday and the Saturday as well, but maybe that would have been stretching the point.
And as for their plans for the future...
It's the kind of thing that could ultimately become an annual event. I don't know, we'll just have to see, really. It would be very nice for something like that to happen, but there are other places we want to go, as I've already mentioned.
Or else what we could do is just busk outside every March the 24th, just to sort of remind ourselves what it was like.
We're going to Australia in January for our first tour, so if we can break some ground there, who knows, maybe ultimately we'll be able to do something at Sydney Opera House.
And you can see Show of Hands at the Albert Hall on the 24th of March, or at their regular venue, the Albert Inn, Bedminster.
And now the latest from the Paint It Red news desk. Channel 4 has won back